Hey everyone, SoundHound AI is scheduled to report its second quarter fiscal year 2024 financial results after the markets close on August 8th. So investors are curious if they should buy the stock before it announces earnings. I'll answer that question in this video. I'll also preview what investors should look for coming from SoundHound AI in its upcoming industry release. What are the big picture items that you want to look out for in the release? Which financial metrics are the most important? Which numbers that are perhaps not as well publicized are important that the media doesn't discuss? I'll share that with you as well. I'm going to do all of that in this short video, so let's get right into it. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. So let's start with the big picture items that investors should look out for from SoundHound AI when it reports financial results next. So the two obvious things to look for are revenue and earnings per share. In the latest quarter, the company reported revenue of $11.6 million, which was an increase of 73% year over year. Now, these results include revenue from its acquisition of Sync3. So you're going to want to see continued revenue growth of very high levels from SoundHound AI. Next, you want to see the GAAP earnings per share number. Now, you want to see the decreasing number slow down. In the latest quarter, the company lost 12 cents per share, but the same number non-GAAP was 7 cents per share. So you want to look for this number to be at or around 12 cents, maybe below that number. Okay, you don't want to see these losses on the bottom line worsening as the company grows revenue. One of the things I highlight when I'm looking at these types of investments, fast-growing companies losing money on the bottom line, what I like to see from them is shrinking those losses on the bottom line. So as they grow their revenue, for the losses to decrease and decrease and decrease until eventually the company becomes profitable. I don't like to see these companies growing revenue and the losses worsening on the bottom line. Okay, I mentioned that these results include the purchase of Sync. The consolidated results include the operational and transactional impact from the acquisition of Sync3, which closed in the company's first quarter. You want to see progress on that acquisition and progress digesting the acquisition. You want to look out for any left field items coming out of nowhere. The company saying something like, oh, when we bought this company, we thought it was going to be like this, but actually it turns out we saw all of these bad things now that we acquired it, and we didn't notice it initially, and now we see it now that we're getting to see it on a day-to-day basis. You want to look out for anything like that. That would be really bad news. What you want to hear instead is the acquisition is going as planned. We're making plans forward. We're utilizing the team from Sync, and we're working together nicely, and it's opening up many more opportunities. And in fact, it's better than we expected going into it. That's the kind of commentary that would be positive for SoundHound AI stock investors. Now, I highlighted I would talk some numbers that are not well publicized, and this is one of them here. The cumulative subscriptions and booking backlog. This is an important number for SoundHound AI. This number came in at 682 million in the last quarter, and that was up by 80% year over year. Now, these cumulative backlogs eventually turn into revenue. So these numbers growing at these rates are great news for SoundHound AI stock investors. You want to see this number continue at these high levels. You want to see continued orders increasing for SoundHound AI. You want to see contracts signed and high values of contracts signed, because that means SoundHound AI is making deals for the long term, and eventually those turn into revenue. That's something that is not as well publicized as maybe the revenue number is. Every media outlet talks about revenue when a company reports financial results, but the cumulative subscription backlog number is less publicized. So you're going to want to look out for this when the company reports this number. Of course, I'm going to provide you a review of SoundHound AI's financial results soon after they report them. So I will be sure to discuss that number and what it means for SoundHound AI investors. And another critical number for SoundHound AI, and in fact for all companies that are losing money on the bottom line is the cash balance. SoundHound AI has 226 million of cash as of its last update. And given the fact that the company lost money on the bottom line, their net loss was 33 million. You're going to want to see how much cash the company has at the end of the quarter, and you're going to want to compare it to how much cash it's losing on the bottom line so that you understand how long of a runway the company has before its cash becomes urgently desperate. So you don't want to see this cash balance fall to a level that's dangerous. And what I see as dangerous is something that's less than 2/4 of its cash flow from operations. So for instance, if the company's cash flow from operations was negative 30 million and it had less than 60 million in cash, that I would consider to be a dangerous position because it has less than 2/4 of cash before it runs out. And then it needs to start making desperate deals to raise capital, paying very high interest rates or diluting shareholders. So that's why I look at this especially important number for companies that are losing money on the bottom line, because you don't want them to get into that desperate situation, and that will slow down their growth or dilute shareholders. So in the latest quarter, the company reported net cash from operations of negative 21.948 million. That was worse than the negative 14.54 million it reported in the same quarter the year before. Hopefully, this cash flow from operations number is at or below negative 21.948 million. Hopefully, they are stemming these losses in cash flow and they are not worsening. If this number comes in above 25 or above 30 million, then it's cause for concern because this highlights that the company's cash outflow is worsening and it's not improving as the company is growing, which signals a fundamental unit economic problem for the company's growth prospects. And finally, SoundHound AI has said that they're expecting 2024 revenue to be in the range of 65 to 77 million. Typically, they will update this number in the quarterly earnings release. They don't always update, but they are likely to, and you're going to want to see this number stay either where it is or improve for SoundHound AI. Now to answer the question if you should buy SoundHound AI stock before earnings, well, it's trading at a forward price to sales of 15, which is an expensive valuation for any company, especially for a company that's losing so much money on the bottom line with a long runway before it becomes cash flow positive. So in this situation, I don't see a risk of missing out here. Instead, I see a risk if you buy ahead of earnings and the company reports some troubling numbers during the earnings release, that could cause a big drop in its share price. Overall, SoundHound AI is a volatile stock that moves violently up and down. So combine that with the fact that companies are extra risky following an earnings release, that really magnifies the risk for SoundHound AI. So in most cases, I suggest not buying this close to earnings and waiting until after earnings. And this is more evident for SoundHound AI because of the increased volatility of this specific stock. So this is an important situation where I would really wait until after earnings, digest the results, and be okay if you miss out on a big pop upwards following the earnings release. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.